I could, yeah. If everybody's doing it, I could do it. I'm not just gonna like be the only one around the table doing a voice. You know what I mean? It's like Veritas is like, all right, we're all gonna come up with crazy voices. Then you have me go first, and I'm talking like, hi, mateys.
It's gonna
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Actually, my name's Jeremy with a G.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the... I squeaked a little. Did you hear that? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, a show where we talk about all the poggers things in life. I'm Jesse. He's Veritas. What's up, man?
You know, just fucking, just great, just dandy. You know,
What happened in that raid? I got up to go get a snack. I sat down and I ate one chip, and then I just saw you were dead. And then
I just wanted to boot up quickly into a raid. Didn't know what loadout I had. When I started, I had like leftover from the last loadout.
Yeah.
Last day I played, so I had an SKS with like a red dot on it, but I wanted to go customs because all I've been doing is playing labs, so I just wanted to just play something different.
Yeah.
And I had an M1 from some dude, and for some dude, the like Archangel M1 with like a just put any like 4X on it.
Yep.
I think I had the L on it. Why? I don't know why the ergo is like 8 billion. It's like
Oh yeah, dude. All the M1As, yeah, like feel really bad. The Archangel especially, and it doesn't. And there might be, if you're a gun nut, there might be like, it might make sense for that for weight or whatever. But a lot of the ergo across the board just confuses me. It feels inconsistent, right? Like I can take a TX15 and I could load accessories on it. You know what I mean? Adding a bunch of weight, making it heavy, and the ergo can be 99. But a Mosin, which is effectively a toothpick with a barrel attached to it, has 7 ergo. And I'm like, I don't get it. And then same thing with the M1A, like the SAS, the big 67-pound looking disgusting, has got like 80 ergo, but then the Archangel, which you can't attach anything to it, has none. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, so I just forgot how shittily it performed. So as soon as I started playing, and it was like, and the dude had a canted PKO6 on it, which is already awkward because you have the L-can and the L-can iron sight.
Yes.
Then the PKO6, which is scuffed now, and it's like, I'm like, so I killed a player and a couple of scavs and was kind of just like running around over by like customs like checkpoint area, trying to kill a dude. I kept hearing a shotgun, and I thought it was a scav. It turned out to be one of those players doing like whatever.
Quest, yeah,
or whatever fucking shotgun thing is called.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I had 20 round mags, and I was just kind of like popping bullets, and I only had 4 20 round mags, and I had unloaded a few of them, so I didn't realize like how little ammo I had, and the dude was behind that fence. You know the fence over by where like the checkpoint and the sniper scav is, over on boiler side. So he was on that side of the fence, and he was just going back and forth, and all I could see is his feet. And I was like trying to shoot him through the fence.
Oh yeah.
But then every time he'd hit me with buckshot, it would just make me completely like blurry and blinded, and then he blacked my leg out, so I'm limping, and I don't pre-med because I just think it's annoying and stupid and lame.
Yep.
So I'm just like limping, and then I'm trying to like shoot the guy, and he's just like peeking out buckshot, and I can't see, and I can't aim, and I can't walk, and it was super fucking awkward. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah. We've been talking about that a lot recently, actually, like the pre-pain meta, and I hate the pre-pain meta, but I hate that. Like, I also hate getting caught and getting shot with like one round of buckshot hits me, and now my stamina's gone and I'm limping, and unless you have, a propofol or a morphine, it takes forever to take a painkiller. And so like I talk about that all the time. Like, I don't know what a good in-between system is, because I really, really hate that too. But I also hate that I'm constantly like popping golden star, you know what I mean?
That's adrenaline.
Like having a few seconds of adrenaline.
Yeah. So like when you get hit, and there should be a cooldown. I'm just gonna fucking design this right now. When you get, actually, I would say that there would be a couple different times when it would like pop in. Anytime you get that suppression effect, I'm sure there's a threshold, right? Because it's obviously a scale, so they obviously have like a suppression 50%.
Yeah.
Whatever the threshold is, let's say it's 30%. Either you take damage, or you get a certain threshold of that suppression effect, and it should just fill up your stamina bar, for, let's say, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, I don't know if that's like a lot or a little, or maybe that's like level 1, maybe that's like level 30. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, and then once that wears off, well, then maybe you have to wait, 3 minutes or something until you can get that effect again. But that will prevent you from needing to pre-pain everywhere. If you get shot, you're instantly going to have the adrenaline. So even if you're jogging, you've been jogging for a little bit and someone shoots you, you're not going to be like, oh, well, now I'm tired.
Yeah.
You're going to dig in and grab the extra fucking, anybody that ever played Pop Warner football knows how to dig in that extra.
Dig in.
Get that extra 10% or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's always something in the tank unless you have exhaustion. At that point, like if you have so much you can't run, you should basically be passed out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be a good middle ground, just having that. And yeah, it doesn't
just, like, roll and fucking like get on the ground and roll, because otherwise I look at the guy and he's shooting at me and I'm like, gotta reload. And I'm like,
yeah,
trying to reload, and I like turn my back and I'm walking super slow. It's like
yeah, that's true. That's true. I actually, that would be a great middle ground. Because then, because it's something that wouldn't proc every single time, but it would just like give you a chance. And then, it could scale maybe with your level or something, like with one of the, because that is like one of the stress resistance or something. That's like the elite
max
perk.
level elite perk resistance is that thing, which is, I've never experienced that, but like
I've never gotten max stress resistance.
That should just be the fucking, it should be like a sliding scale. And I think it's totally balanced. I think it makes sense. I think it's fair. I think it's a way to make it so that fights aren't as totally one-sided as sometimes they are. Where if you have to run from building to building and there's no cover because it's just pavement.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that and there's no way to provide cover. There's no smoke grenades. There's nothing. If you could just, if you're running and you get shot, it's not just like, well, I'm dead now because you're totally immobile.
Yeah.
It should just be like, give me enough to get to there, and then I can dive into the fucking entrance and heal up, and then now we're in a fight, and now I can med and do whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
But,
and if you're really good, if you have really good aim, you can still kill that guy because you can track him, but it at least gives him a chance to not just like instantly get like incapacitated. Yeah, I'm for that. That would be because that is super frustrating.
And it's just as real. People will say like, "Oh, you think you can run if you get shot?" And I mean, I think we've had this discussion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There are just as many anecdotal situations where someone got shot and ran a marathon and saved a child from under a burning car with their bare hands and didn't even realize they were shot until next week. And then somebody who got shot 7 times because they were methed out and they were fine. And then someone who got shot through the left hand and instantly died from shock. Right? Like,
exactly. So and the current system isn't realistic either, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like doing that wouldn't make it make a realistic system unrealistic. It's like if I got shot in my femur by a 308 and my femur exploded, I couldn't just keep limping. You know what I mean? Like if a scav blew my leg out with a shotgun and I turned around and shot him and I didn't have pain meds, right now I can just I'll just limp to extract. Like I'd be on the ground in agonizing pain. You know what I mean? I couldn't just pop a little, ibuprofen, one single one, not even 4 pills, 1 pill of ibuprofen. Like, so it's not, we can't be in defense of the current system because the current system is just as unrealistic as, growing a unicorn horn and that flies me to the extract. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
Now, wait a minute. I think you're.
As long as it feels like
level
it's
71.
Yeah. As long as it feels like it goes back to, we need to come up with a term for it, and there might be, but like you broke this down in one of your Tarkov isn't meant to be fun videos, better that I always use now, an unrealistic mechanic that produces a more realistic result, right?
Immersion.
Like, so something that wouldn't ever happen in real life, but because this thing that would never happen is in real life, my raids play out more like real life. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things, just like CMS kits, just like all these other things that we love that help us keep us in the fight, keep us running, keep us getting to extract, keep us doing these things. That, you know what I mean? That feels like that to me. A little bit of adrenaline. It gives you a chance to move. It makes, fights feel a little bit more fair. You feel like you have at least 1 second to respond and maybe out aim that person, even though they got the jump on you. But it's not, you know, a magic carpet ride to the extract. It's not something that's so outside of the purview of Tarkov. It feels good. It feels like it would work.
Yeah. Imagine you're in shoreline, right? And it's just like there's 100 yards of grass. If you're jogging, usually like I'll say like I've got another 15 seconds, then I'm going to stop and take a break and walk a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And then you gain it back. If I'm jogging and I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop in 5, 4, and then someone shoots at me, if now reset that timer.
Yeah.
My bar is no longer relevant, right?
Yeah.
So it's when you're like, I'm just running, there's nothing going on, and you have no energy, and then it's like someone shoots at you, and you're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna die because I have to wait for my stamina bar.
Yep.
You know, I mean, now there is the argument where like, well, you should maybe conserve your stamina.
For sure.
But that now I would accept that argument if getting shot with a 9mm bullet in the ass when you have level 6 armor didn't make your stamina go instantly zero.
Exactly.
Conservation of stamina, it's no longer a resource you can conserve because at any point it's gone.
It really is. Exactly. If that was less of a thing, then yeah, I would say that too. Because and the solution doesn't remove that, right? If there's 100 yards of open field on shoreline, and if you get shot at like right at the beginning or halfway there, that 2 seconds of adrenaline isn't going to get you to the other side. So it's not like a catch-all, it's an instant win. It gives you the ability to be like, oh, he's over there, I'm going to move this way, maybe there's a tree I can use for cover and then try and peek him, and now I start limping. Like it's not like it's this crazy OP thing. You still have to be thinking as a PMC, this is a long distance for me to run. I have to be prepared. But yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, because it feels like stamina is not, it feels like it's not worth saving at all, because as soon as I get shot with anything, I have no stamina. It's insane.
You know what that makes me think of, and this is kind of interesting, something maybe we could chat about for a minute or two. The way that Escape from Tarkov plays, the right thing to do is something that you'll only benefit from 1% of the time. So it's like you're almost reinforced or motivated to just kind of be lazy or kind of hope and pray, right? Like I could pre-med here, but I mean, if I don't come across anybody, then I'm just wasting a thing. And then if I don't come across anybody, then I just went through a whole thing, a golden star in a whole raid, where it's like, you know, there's a chance I might not get punished or whatever for it. Yeah. And I don't know, it's really weird. It's almost like, I guess I'm not really sure where I'm going with this, but the idea that like the right thing, the proper thing, is something that 98 times out of 100 you're doing for nothing. It's like being prepared. Now it's something you would in real life, right? Because you have one life, so that 1 or 2% means something.
Yes.
But when you do something 100 times, 1 or 2%, it's just a cost of doing business. Yeah. You know, so that's like, I don't know if that's a flaw in the game or if that's what makes it great or a combination of the two.
It feels like Tarkov in a perfect world basically just like strikes the right balance on that scale. And it's like, we might not be there. It's definitely a balance because like you said, you know, as long as it's a video game where you can just respawn, it will never be quite like real life. But it does feel like in a lot of Tarkov situations, that the right thing is more of an annoyance or like a waste of time. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently, where like I don't know what's been going on, but on customs I have been getting into a lot of fights in places I don't normally get fights in, and I've been losing a lot of them. And I've been losing a lot of them because I don't pay attention in those places. And then I get frustrated, and I've literally on stream been like super pissed because like the past 3 days I've survived like 4 total raids. I am hemorrhaging money and loot. It's awful. But a lot of the deaths,
as happy as it does. I hate that. It makes me like, thank you, it's not just me.
Dude.
I'm such an asshole.
And it's been so many things. I have had like really old bugs come back and get me killed. I've had audio get me killed. And then I've just been playing like garbage. A lot of my deaths I'm like, dude, I don't know why I peeked that guy. But a lot of the deaths have been like, I die, I get really frustrated because I died again. And I'm like, why was he there? And then I almost catch myself in my brain where I like some voice inside me goes, remember, Jesse, this is the Tarkov that you want eventually. You want the Tarkov where you don't know where somebody is, but the Tarkov we have, it's almost, especially if you're streaming and you're trying to talk to chat, it's almost not worth paying attention during 60% of the map because you know that these are where the fights are going to be, and this is just getting me there. So that's when I'm going to read chat. So
you don't pay attention until you hear something.
Yeah.
There's no, unless you hear something or you see something in a common spot. Otherwise, there's no reason to run around and be scanning your environment.
Exactly.
Be looking
so it's like
listening, and
I'm so conflicted because when that gets me killed, I get frustrated. But then I end up being like, no, that's the Tarkov you want. But it's like the Tarkov we have has just like dug into these really, really deep paths. You know, the path of least resistance is always just like, you know, here to crack house to fortress to this, and that's where the fights are going to be. And if I hear something, I'll push that. And it's hard to break out of that. And when you do get killed in those weird spots, it's not like I should always check that, because chances are that was just like a really weird 1 in a million that guy was there for some reason. But I totally get that feeling where like, yeah, just the right thing to do oftentimes feels like the wrong thing to do. We've talked about that at length with like when you know a guy's coming, you know, holding an angle is the right thing to do. But if you miss your very first shot due to the way the netcode works, he can snap to you and kill you. And the right thing to do was just peek him, you know, right side peeker's advantage him and get him with his pants down. And it's like a weird.
There's so many aspects of like, you play something enough, you get ingrained and trained to do certain things, right? Some things become instinctual, they become patterns. And then when and if the game changes, obviously, you know, you have to kind of adapt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Do you? I guess I don't want to. I don't want to change the way I play, because the way I used to play, at least, and I'm just thinking out loud here. The way I used to play, I was rewarded and I was above average in terms of stats and whatever. And I fell in love with playing the game that way.
Yeah. And
now I feel like I'm punished because of not the intention of the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I don't want to change because it would be like developing a bad habit. And then all of a sudden, if tomorrow they fix the netcode, well, now I'm shit again and I need to relearn the right.
Yeah.
I'm stubbornly being like, I'm going to keep doing this until it doesn't work. Now, something like paying attention, that's something where, I mean, I absolutely like don't, you know, I do that as well, where I'm just 98% of the time I'm running around, nothing happens, and then a dude surprises me and I just wasn't ready for it. And it's like, of course I get salty about it.
Yeah, but I do the same thing.
Like, you know, that's something that like I would be okay with saying, okay, if they completely changed the game and all of a sudden tomorrow it was open world, total dynamic loot, all the things, and you know, then I would be like excited to learn the new way, right? But there are certain things that I feel like I shouldn't have to change. The game should change.
And that's a great example, those two things, like peeking corners, that doing that to get ahead right now does feel like a bad habit to learn, because when the netcode is better, when there's inertia, the people that play that way are going to have to unlearn that, and that'll be frustrating. But then the paying attention thing, it's like, yeah, that might be a thing that it's like, as the game progresses, I will have to pay more attention. So that's a good like example of both changes that you shouldn't really adapt to and changes we should. But yeah, it really just comes down to what we've talked about a million times, was just like predictability with the size of the map and the way the loot works. It's just like, as soon as I spawn in, I know where the 3 closest people to me are. So why would I not run to them? And I know where the 3 closest high tier loot spots to me are. So why would I not run to them? If it's open world and and however that works out, where like the raids are really long, maybe loot respawns, maybe you're joining an instance later in, all of those, you know what I mean? Think about, I think they mentioned something super briefly about this on Streets, about like spawning in PMCs midway through a Streets raid. I think he just like casually said something on one of the podcasts. And like, think about how fundamentally that changes the game. Like right now when you spawn, if you've been playing this game for like 1,000 hours or more, right now when you spawn, those are the first things you think subconsciously. Where are the closest people to me? And depending on your spawn, where's the closest loot to me, right? Like if you spawn God spawn on Shoreline, you're never not thinking I get the loot first. You might not go to Resort because if you had a quest on the other side, but every time you spawn there, you think, oh, I can get loot first. You know what I mean? And every time you spawn,
I have a quest to kill PMCs 300 meters away by the coastline. I'm going to because I can't not
yeah,
manage spawn.
exactly. And if you spawn, you know, and then you can say that same thing with spawns for if you spawn glass hull on factory, your first thought is, I know there's a guy right here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So imagine spawning halfway through a streets raid. I mean, all of those thoughts are gone.
Player scavs.
Yeah, all of those thoughts are gone.
You're competent.
Where are the PMCs? Where is the loot? What's been looted? Like that, just that fundamentally changed how I play a game. Because of that, I'm going to be paying attention because I'm like, oh, people could be anywhere. You know what I mean? It's exactly that. It's like scav raids, but on scav raids, we get that, but we lose all care for our gear because it's a scav raid. Having both is the true Tarkov experience. The minute you spawn in being scared and being like, okay, I don't know where people are. I don't know how many people there are. I don't know how many scavs there are. I don't know if the bosses are still up. I don't know where the loot is. And risking your kit, that feels like Tarkov. That feels like the Tarkov that they've been wanting to make.
Well, so think about that. And then think about, because that's literally one step away. And I never made this video. My open world.
Oh, yeah,
video.
yeah.
But imagine that whole same thing, all the excitement and everything. But let's say you die in that raid and you could get back in.
Oh,
you're going to spawn somewhere random, you know, potentially far away, and it's going to be 5 minutes later. But think about, like, and I know usually people instantly recoil at that idea.
Yeah.
But I think about what is there to do?
Yeah.
When you play Tarkov, it's like, I don't have quests. I don't have what. If you go into a raid and you die, like now, I just got in that raid and I died in customs. In my vision of Tarkov, I would be spawning back in there and I'd be like, is my body still there? Did the guy bleed out?
Yeah.
Could I catch him across the map and get lucky somehow because I'm like the reinforcements that come in? Am I going to be able to loot the other guy that I killed that he didn't even know I killed because it was up in the little house? You know what I mean? Like, so the idea of being able to get it means that it's like you have something to do.
Yeah.
Right? You can either avenge that, or if you get out and you loot and you dump everything, you can be like, there was a fucking firefight. I killed 30 dudes. Let me get back in there and loot the other 10.
Yeah.
And then get in and get out and then come back and get in and get out. But then when you get there, those guys are going to want to come back too.
It's just, yeah, it would just be so dynamic. You would just, once again, unpredictability. You'd never know. Are they coming back? Did somebody else hear? Did he know about that body that I killed? Like, the more unanswerable questions, the better, right? Because then it's just like, that means everything is going to be different every single time. And
now you wipe everybody on the map. If you have enough dog tags, you know I'm alone.
Yeah.
And there will only be player scavs.
100%. We have, dude, it just comes down to this, man. So much, like, everything that people complain about in Tarkov is valid. The audio sucks. The netcode sucks. We know we need more of this. We need more of that. I get it. But fundamentally, I think the problem with Tarkov is we have more answers than questions. And we need to reverse that. Because it's exactly that, man. It's like you can answer so many questions immediately. If I get this spawn, I can go, if I get this spawn, X spawn, go into dorms and kill 2 people, well, I know that they got X spawn. So I know that that I shouldn't be expecting anybody. It's physically possible for me to be expecting another player for at least 10 or 15 seconds. I have time to loot them. If I have 8 dog tags 30 minutes into a raid, statistically, I'm the only PMC left. If there is one other guy, he obviously didn't want to chase shots, so he's on the other side of the map doing his thing. I can take time to loot. Maybe we'll get a player scout. Like, we are constantly answering questions as opposed to like asking them. And I just feel like that is fundamentally why we get into these pathways of like, you know, paying less attention and doing this and doing that because we're right most of the time. And when we're wrong, we die and we get salty, but we're right most of the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know.
I see some folks in chat that are saying that removing gear fear would be bad for the game. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, like it just everybody has.
Would that be bad? Well, first of all, would it remove gear fear? Let's say you're really bad at the game. You're a new person. You're not going to be able to, even if you tried four or 5 times.
Yeah.
In the same raid, you know, you're probably not going to be able to go in and get your stuff.
Are you saying that Chad is saying that idea you had would potentially remove gear fear? Oh,
and that's good for the game.
That's insanity. I agree to some extent that getting rid of gear fear would be bad for Tarkov. I just think the only way you get rid of gear fear is if everybody has infinite money. Like if you're bad at Tarkov, and let's say your idea that you just did is in real life, like you could very realistically end up losing more because if you keep trying to go back and die and go back and die and go back and die, like if you got killed by a sniper and that sniper is patient and just holds, you know what I mean? Like me and Lennon were talking earlier, like during streets, like
you're born in heaven, you get on the same guy in one map.
Like we were talking earlier, that's like on streets, I'll post up in some random window and I'm not even gonna go loot kills. I'm just gonna snipe because it's gonna be
Sit
fun.
There with a fucking bourbon.
Yeah, dude.
While you're
So
just
it's like,
oh, bogey spotted.
Yeah, so it's like if you're bad at Tarkov, you could end up losing more gear because right now in Tarkov, when you die, you know you can't get that back. You reset yourself. Maybe you switch up the map. But if there's that carrot at the end of the stick of maybe I could get my gear back, you might go there and die again and then go back there and die again. Now you've lost 3 kits and you haven't even done any of the quests because the last 2 kits you lost were just trying to get your 1 kit back, and now you're in the hole.
And on the 4th one, you might succeed and you may get
all of it back. Yeah.
You might get 1.5 kit back plus 4 kit.
Yeah.
Right. So it
like stops becoming worth it.
Still lost, but it's at least like something. And the other part of it too is what I talked about before was quest stuff. If you're new or if you're struggling or whatever, if you go and you get the golden pocket watch, or you go and you get insert random item here that you need, that the Chad who kills you isn't going to grab your fucking the random hose or whatever from your alkali from your backpack.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about that. But if there's an alkali sitting in a dead body's backpack out behind customs dorms, you can go in and that gives you almost like another chance. It might be harder. You have to actually weigh whether or not that would be more difficult to look around randomly or go to where there is potentially threat, right?
Yeah.
Like anywhere where there was just a fight, honestly, it's a toss-up between it's a danger zone or everybody might have left.
Yep.
Right? So, which is no different than literally any other moment in any other place in Tarkov. You just don't know.
Yeah.
In a very few, unless, there's a very few small set of circumstances where you do know.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you kill 5 PMCs on factory in the first 30 seconds, 4 minutes until player scav or whatever, come in where you can just loot freely.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be so fucking awesome. Just as long as there was no way to cheese it in a way where like you could spawn in right next to where you died.
Yeah, 100%.
Like if I'm kill a guy and I loot him, I don't want to fight him 5 times before I'm done looting him.
Yeah, exactly.
I would be okay if there was 6 bodies. Sometimes I spend 30 minutes looting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that squad comes back and wants to fight me again, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's not fun, then I'm going to loot them and get the fuck out of here. Because
exactly.
Coming back.
Exactly. Because it wouldn't be, it's not like, it's not like Halo, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click respawn and you're back. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have to, you know what I mean? It takes you, how long does it take you to get into a raid right now? You go back to your stash with nothing. You got to heal. You got to find your kit. You got to build a gun. You got to build everything. You got to load into the game. And the vision we're talking about here is like, if Tarkov is open world, or at least like some semblance of open world. So like, yeah, you might spawn on Shoreline and be like, okay, well, I can go this way and I can get back to customs, but is it worth it? I don't know. So it's not like what we're saying isn't like literally every time you kill a guy 32 seconds later, they're back. It's just like, it's like sometimes it might happen in a few minutes if you killed 5 of them and take 10 or 15 minutes to loot. You know what I mean? But it's not a guarantee. And either way, I just think even just that subtle shift of like considering what Tarkov would be like, obviously I guess it's not subtle, but that shift of like, imagine spawning halfway through a Shoreline raid. It's just like, oh, all the questions, none of the answers, but all the risk. And I just like that feels like kind of at least where we're going, I hope, you know what I mean? And I just don't think that means you lose gear fear. You know what I mean? I think you lose gear fear if you're the 1% and you know what I mean? Like I doubt Landmar has gear fear, but other than that, like as long as you're risking it, I feel like, I don't know. Gear fear is good. It's the point of the game.
That I've heard that actually. I've the first time I've heard that, because I'm constantly asked, one of the questions I get actually was probably one of the most common questions I've like ever got about Tarkov is, how do I get rid of gear fear?
Yeah.
If it's so good, and again, I'm thinking out loud, I've never actually thought about this. Me, gear fear is like, it's apprehension. You know, when I get up to the plate and all I do is think about striking out, how do I get rid of that? No, your fear of striking out is good. But no, you should just be fucking confident. You know, like, you should have life fear, not gear fear.
Yeah. And I think that's it. There's two different types of gear fear that people all use in the same term. It's like getting rid of gear fear is battlefield, right? Like, you spawn, you die, you spawn, you die, you spawn, you die. You don't want to die, and dying is frustrating in Battlefield or in Call of Duty, but you're not losing anything. Yes. And then there's gear fear. So when you compare it to Battlefield, gear fear is good, right? Like that is the allure of Tarkov, is that there's risk involved. But then there's gear fear that's like, I KS-23 to Chad with a slick and an M4 on day 7 of the wipe, and we're wiping next week and I haven't used it yet. That's the bad gear fear. That's the I would say that's not gear fear. That's like Tarkov fear. Like, you just have to realize that like part of the game is losing your favorite stuff, and you have to learn that that's part of the good of Tarkov. Like losing your favorite stuff over and over again means when you take somebody else's favorite stuff, it means more. It's the whole Tarkov's not supposed to be fun. So I feel like that's the one people ask about the most, and that's actually like, it's almost like not even gear fear. It's like Tarkov fear. It's like, yo, this is just the way of the road. This is how Tarkov is. You got to die. You got to lose that stuff. So those are the
get rid of that. Like, that's the one that is bad.
Yeah,
and this wouldn't change that at all. People would still. I mean, it's literally like gambling. How do I don't want to lose my money, but I really like winning money, and I play black. How do I get over that? Well, you either play so much that you just don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Or you be something that's impossible and you win more than you can lose over time. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Statistics are statistics, and the house always wins, my dude. So, I don't know. I just don't really buy the argument, I guess. Like, what would be the best combination of everything is if everything was fucking rare as hell, and it was like we just said, basically. Like, you know, because think about this. We've talked about, like, obviously I don't want like green shotgun and purple shotgun and platinum shotgun. You know, the different like levels. Imagine if you had like your thing, your gun that you named or whatever, and imagine in the future there was a fucking stat track you could carve in things for however many kills you got on the stock on the wood or whatever, right? Like, I mean, I can see some of that is a little bit lame, but I could see there being cool versions of that in Tarkov. Imagine like, or you got the +5 crit damage barrel, you know, that's like really rare. If you only get to use it until you die, then all of those features make zero sense, because it's like, well, why am I going to be excited about any of the things I get, because they're not special?
Yeah.
So it's only if it's rare and special are you excited to use it, and you don't want to lose it. But in that case, the best middle ground is best 2 out of 3. You know, it's not impossible that you cannot get it back, because now all you're doing is crossing your fingers that nobody grabs it and you get it back in insurance.
Yeah.
But instead, imagine being your own fucking insurance, and instead of that, you also get back the meds and the ammo that you fucking imagine you trade with a guy. You're both going to be like scrambling to get back in.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I don't know. I just love that. It's so much.
Yeah. Imagine like
super. There are a lot of people are super against it, and maybe most people will hate the idea, but I'm fully convinced that, and I, of course I, you know, would love to be proven wrong, but I'm fully convinced that even the people that are like, I don't like that idea, I bet you they would fucking like the game better.
Imagine stashing stuff. You kill 6 PMCs, and you can only take this much, and you run like a few 100 meters out, and you create like a stash, and you like, this is the bush, and you like put a bunch of stuff in there, and then you go back, you loot up, you go extract or loot your stuff, and then you come back for the stash of stuff. Like, Stuff like that would be kind of cool.
Oh my God. But now I'm thinking even more shit. Imagine if you could pay to have like a tracking, like a GPS tracker that you could attach to something. So you could say, click it onto your gun. And maybe it was like people couldn't take it off.
Yeah.
So if they were to, because if that was the meta, right, then what would happen is there's 10 guys, you get all their shit in a backpack, run to a bush, put it in there, run over, grab a backpack, another bush, put it over there, and then you'd have your stash, and then nobody would be able to loot it because no one's going to see the 19 backpacks stacked up inside of the bush.
Yeah.
So you now have infinite runs to go back and forth.
Yeah, yeah.
Pull out your little thing, and you could be like, my shit's over there. And on your little Garmin GPS thing,
yeah, on the watch.
Real soldiers actually literally have, and this is actually something we've never talked about before, but like real soldiers have essentially like they're like Garmin GPS watches or like little mobile devices, and they literally will have maps that they've pre-programmed with grid numbers and markers for with their teammates and all kinds. I mean, that's people would say that's more Call of Duty. Well, actually, no, that's more realistic. I'm not saying Tarkov should have it, but I'm just saying that shit exists. And imagine how cool it would be to be like, my stuff's over there, and then people stashing, you know, all of those things. Well, now you're the one that finds it. They're leaving, and they're gonna come back for round 3, and all the shit's gonna be gone.
Yeah. And
or you call up your buddies, and you're like, I'm over by custom. Get into my fucking raid and come help me, and then they can come in and join your raid in progress.
Yeah. And they've talked about adding GPS, like the whole compass slot. In the past, they've talked about how there's going to be GPSs, radios, compass, range finders. Like, so it's not even something that like you just, like, you know what I mean, pull out of thin air. Like it. There's also what's interesting though. What's really interesting is that like it almost seems like, as much as like I love running down this rabbit trail and like talking about this, it almost seems like they're moving away from that. So one of the changes in 12.11.5 was that everybody's raid code is different. So you don't even know if you got back into the raid that you were in. So like it almost feels like they're like the little bit of that we have, which is like, let me see if I can get back into my scav raid. They got rid of that. Yeah. So it makes me think that. Well,
I mean, you could still do it. You just wouldn't instantly know. And I mean, I had streamer mode on, so I couldn't even see my raid code before. So it didn't change that for me, right? Like I would still be able to get into a raid and, you know, see, is there a body over here where I killed a body 30 minutes ago?
Yeah.
You know, is it the same guy? It is. Okay, cool. I'm in the same raid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that really makes it much more of a multiplayer sim. Imagine if you just get pinned down. If you could call up your fucking homies on Discord and be like, dogs.
Yo.
You could click on a friend and say join session in progress, and it would spawn you in across the map.
Yeah, and not on top of them. Yeah.
And provide fucking backup. Like
that would be sick.
So fucking
that would
rad.
be sick. Because then you start to add in like the tiny little bit of MMO feels, right? Where like that happens. Like if New World, if there's a war about to happen, everybody gets on Discord and it's like, okay, we need to go do the war. Like you get a little bit of that. It's like, yo, there's a bunch of dudes. They're over here. They're looting it up. They're super thick. They've got me pinned down. A few dudes start spawning in.
Like, oh, hold them back, you know?
Yeah.
Prevent them from coming in for the next 5 minutes while really you're just stalling for your friends to come.
Dude, that'd be so sick. Oh my gosh. Experiences like that is exactly what I fall in line with when we asked Nikita, you know, what's your idea of the perfect raid? He's just like anything that you tell a story. You know what I mean? And like that's the thing, man. It's like I know I've come to terms with the fact that just like so many people don't want that Tarkov, you know what I mean? They don't want VoIP, they don't want open world, they don't want things, and I can respect their opinion, but it's just like I'm just so excited for those things, man. Like I'm so excited for that. That's what I want. That's what we both of us have always wanted, is that DayZ experience, that Rust experience, just those stories, those epic stories of being able to like plan stuff out and do stuff and not just, you know, get shot in the leg and then get head eyes. You know what I mean? Just over and over and over again. Like
that right there completely head eyes is the idea of we need more content.
Exactly.
They could, if they added those to Tarkov tomorrow, they could ship it and walk away and never touch it ever again. I mean, of course we want maps and of course we want guns, but the game would never hit the stale feeling because you always have a goal, an objective, right?
It's a self-sufficient content loop where we're just like engaging with the game is the end game. It is the content. It is like It's why, like, you know, games like Rust, games like DayZ, they're old games. They've been out for a long time that like will go through periods of like huge resurgence and player bases that come back because like, you know what I mean? You're not coming back to Rust because the musical instruments patch, right? Like you're coming back to Rust to go raid a base again and like create that crazy moment. You know what I mean? You're coming back to DayZ because you watched a JLK video of him, you know, creating a drug lab and you're like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? And that's what you want that. So
content's exciting and we love it, but that's not the reason.
Yeah.
You know, people don't come back to DayZ every, you know, few months or whatever. You play that game like I used to play Skyrim, which is play it every day for like a year.
Yeah.
And then don't touch it for 2 years and then come back and do it all over again, even though it never had any new content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. Anyways.
How
about that patch?
Yeah, so 12.11.5, this is the first of the 4 patches they said they wanted to do this year, which is funny because it's October, so I doubt we're getting 3 more patches this year. LOL. But for the most part, what I have been seeing over and over and over again from on social media, on my YouTube comments, in my Twitch chat, what I'm seeing from super high level chads with Kappa, what I'm seeing from new players is like, this patch is great. Like a lot of people are just like digging it. Apparently a lot of people are feeling like they're getting better performance. I wonder if they did some optimizations for lower end PCs because I'm not really seeing any better performance, but I know a lot of people have said they are. So it might just be optimizing lower end hardware. I
didn't play long enough to get past the initial. Did they nerf semi-auto? And then everybody was bitching, and then I got annoyed, and then stopped playing for a day or two, and then here we are today. So I haven't heard any. Not to say that there's no positive feedback, but it just none of it crossed my path,
really?
And I didn't. I experienced some of the quicker menu stuff.
Yeah,
but it's still now when I go to main menu after I die,
it still just takes just as long.
I hit the button and then it has to pop up with a warning saying, well, wait a minute, you died. Don't you want to heal? And then I say no. And then it takes me to the healing thing. And then I hit yes. And then I hit next. And then it takes me to the, so it doesn't actually save any clicks 99% of the time.
That whole thing I found was weird. Yeah. Because like that.
It should be like main menu and heal. Just let me press the button.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I still sit for a spinner for fucking ever.
Yeah.
So the menus aren't faster.
No, the menu. What is faster is the hideout. Like when you're accepting crafts or crafting stuff, like that was getting really, really bad for me. Like if you can craft, you know, whatever it is. To craft 9mm AP, you need 2 red gunpowder and 400 PST GZH rounds. Like you would hit craft and it would just like, and it would just chunk. And it was like accepting each of the rounds like individually or each of the stacks of 50. Like that was so bad. Or if you accepted 7 propitals, it was like you would see them come in in the bottom right hand of my screen.
But they also took a step backwards. Like if I literally just went and started making the moonshine, and it was like I went to go click the thing, went to go click, start.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Now I have to. It doesn't auto select all the things.
I don't know what the hell.
So again, it's like some things are a little bit better, some things are a little bit worse.
I don't know what the hell happened there. But yeah,
it feels like the quality of life stuff is like, I'm not going to poo-poo them. I just feel like there's enough things that are annoying and enough things that are good that I feel like it just comes out in the wash.
For sure.
And
for sure.
To me, the 2 things that stuck out was I played Shoreline for the first time in like forever, and my frames were god awful. Like it's been weird. A long time. Like I almost thought I was like in windowed mode or something because it was like, giving me a headache. How like. Did you know how like when you have like 120 hertz monitor and you're running on like 30 hertz and you don't realize it for a while, like how it just makes you feel like that's how Shoreline felt for me. And I tried a bunch of stuff and it was only Shoreline. If I play Labs or Factory, it's fine. So I don't know if that's new or not because I haven't played Shoreline in like a month.
Yeah.
But so there was that, and then the semi-auto thing was the biggest thing for me, and I have a fucking whole spiel on that.
The semi-auto thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before that, I didn't notice any frame drops for me as far as like I've been playing Shoreline, I've been playing Reserve for scav raids, I've been playing customs a lot of the outdoor maps, and I don't feel it overwhelmingly better either, but I didn't feel anything worse. But yeah, let's talk about the semi-auto nerf. As somebody that uses semi-auto infinitely more than I do, I've been on a roller coaster of emotions. That's all I'll say about it so far. Like, my opinion on it has been swinging back and forth these past few days. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, this is all just one big, I'll point a finger to my immersion versus realism video.
Yeah.
And say, like, look at that about that. It's just one more iteration of that. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to be devil's advocate, and I'm going to be the realism guy, okay?
Yeah.
In real life, you don't have like a heads-up display on your fucking Google Glass that pops up and tells you which body parts are injured.
Correct.
So Tarkov shouldn't have that. So we should get rid of the medical UI altogether.
Yeah.
Now, if I said that, me being my own devil's advocate, now I'm making a straw man here, but I'm trying to make a point because it's the same issue. My response to that would be, well, but you're forgetting that in real life, you would feel the ouchie in your arm.
Yeah.
So that's your UI. That is your interface, literally user interface.
Yeah.
Like, the very definition of it is my fucking skin to the world, right?
Yeah.
Like my senses. So because we don't have that, then we need some sort of abstraction in a game feature.
Yes.
Now, in real life, when you're shooting a gun,
yeah,
you have the real life physical contact and feedback of the gun with the recoil, knowing when you're ready, when the trigger resets, when you let it out, you have that. So it's very rarely an issue. I've never experienced it personally. Now, again, I can't, like, whenever I talk about shooting, I always feel like I have to caveat with, like, I don't think I'm Captain Price or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to stop having to caveat it because I think it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I have guns, I shoot guns. I don't think I'm a fucking commando. I don't think I'm anything good. I'm average. I do it for fun. Everybody fuck off. But, like, I've never, and I've shot, I have even have it on my Instagram, a bunch of when I'm shooting, like, pistols and smaller caliber rifles. Auto, semi-auto, quickly, all that stuff. And I've never had the problem of outrunning my trigger.
Yeah.
Because the trigger would reset far sooner than I would reset for the recoil on the aim. So the determining factor, and if I'm shooting my Ruger 1022, it has no recoil. So I go, and I'm limited by the physical. As soon as I can feel it reset and press it, I can do it, right? So, but that's still faster than the gun can cycle. Sorry, it's still slower than the gun can cycle. Yeah. If I could squeeze faster, I bet you I could probably shoot faster. And I'm sure that there's a limit to the gun, but I'm not hitting the limit. Now, when I go to Tarkov or any shooter game, the thing is that you don't have that with a mouse.
Yes.
You are clicking a wafer of plastic that's a milligram. So the problem is that by restricting how fast you can pull the trigger and making it so that when you're clicking quickly, if you click too quickly, the game says no. So you go click, 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 and it goes bang, bang.
Yeah.
That is so much more infuriating than any of the alternatives or any of the other things that you can say that happen. Like, first of all, and I'm stepping forward a little bit in the debate, but I don't think macros are or were ever a problem. I've never been told by anybody who I was like, that was definitely a macro.
100%.
Now, I'm not saying it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying maybe it's a problem in every other server, every other raid, every other region, every other place other than mine. Maybe it's a problem. Maybe it's rampant. I don't know. But I can say that I get accused and have been many times having a macro by people I've killed, people who watch my YouTube videos, and people in my chat who can literally see my fucking arm in my hand.
Yep.
So all I can say is what that tells me is there's a lot of evidence that a lot of people think at least I have a macro, and I know that in my case, I don't use one. So all of those people are wrong. And in the 3 years I've played Tarkov, I don't think I've ever come across anybody with a macro.
Yep.
So I'm more likely to put my 50 cent bet down on the fact that macros were not a widespread issue.
Yep.
The perception of macros was probably way bigger than it needed to be. But yeah, I'll wrap up here because I've been on a fucking monologue. Just because like you shouldn't be able to shoot semi-auto guns that fast in real life, or you couldn't do it, or it wouldn't be possible, I might agree with you. But again, it's the whole, you need some sort of abstraction to make up for what you're missing in real life or in the game, which is the physical feedback of the trigger. Because so much of aiming and shooting in Tarkov, especially with semi-auto guns that people don't use because they're already kind of like underpowered and there's no point to using them when fully auto guns have no recoil and you know whatever, is it has to do with the rhythm and the consistency of your clicking while you're moving the mouse. How skilled you are at going pop, 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 pop. You know, I want to be able to go pop, 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 because if there's 3 different heads, I know 3 shots is enough while they're moving for me to time that just right. So one of them should hit, and if you know, and if not, then 2 of them will hit, and then I can move on to the other one in an engagement where milliseconds matter. But now I go click, 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 and it goes bang. And then it shoots in the middle between the 2 guys, and then it shoots before the 3rd guy. And it's like, now the guns are just unusable. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree basically with everything that you're saying. Like, I've been flip-flopping back and forth because, like, so like foundationally, I completely agree with you in the sense that, like, if I've ever come across somebody that I thought was using a macro, if I've ever come across that, I can count on one hand in my 3,500 hours how many times that's happened. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's so not as what I would have considered an issue that they were like that was a pressing issue for them to address. And secondly, even like I haven't even heard the word macro in so long. Like, you know, like back in the day, so like 4 or 5 wipes ago when the SAS M1A was meta, that's when you had the like accusations of people macroing a lot. And then even previous to that, like I know Deadly used to get those a lot too, like because you can shoot really fast. But the past few wipes, full auto has been the de facto meta. You know what I mean? Like there was the SA-58 for a while, and now it's the 308 MDR or the M4 or the HK or the Mutant. Like, yeah. So I was surprised at it at all because of that, because I was like, I just haven't even heard this term in a really long time. And then I took it into the hideout and I was like, okay, let me try and click as fast as I can. And I noticed exactly what you're saying. If you catch it off the pattern, you know, it's like click, 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 bang, click, 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 bang. But if you slow down a little bit and you catch the pattern, it's bang, 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 bang. Like you can still shoot fast. You just have to catch the pattern. You have to be like right at the clicks per second. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So now it's almost like they've invented a new skill that you have to hone, which is like I put on a metronome. And I was clicking, and I'm like, okay, is it 6 clicks per second? Is it 7 clicks per second?
Yeah.
Is it? And I talked to Nikita a little bit because when the patch first came out, I was like, dude, what the fuck, you know? And he was like, we set it too low, we'll fix it. And then he's like, we fixed it already, you know, give it another try. And I'm like, it still feels mad low, you know. And he basically said they set it to like 7. And I basically went through the argument with him, trying to explain this stuff to him. And it sounded like he was like, oh, the most we'll do is like 9 clicks per second. And because I was basically saying, he's like, you know, he asked, how fast do you click? And I have a clip from like 3 days ago on the stream where it's like Veritas clicks per second. Cause I'm literally in the hideout going bang, 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 alt tab. And I go, and I'm clicking on like the N and the E on like the continue button. So I'm actually like maintaining my aim, and I'm doing 12.7, you know, clicks per second. Now I'm not necessarily saying that like, there's still an inherent skill, you know, and whatever to that, in my opinion. But all it's doing, it's not even punishing the macro users, because all the macro users will do is they'll
set it to 7.
Set it to 7.99999, and now they are perfectly at the maximum without doing anything. And now people who are skilled and above average at the things get punished and have to relearn how to play. And then all the new people don't notice that there's any difference because they click slow. So what does it matter? Except that they click a little fast, and they click twice, and did my gun jam? I don't know. It didn't shoot.
Yeah. That was going to be my next point, was that like the other thing I'm confused about is like, if you're a macro user, you didn't like, you're not like like IP banning macros. It's just now you just turn your macro down. Like as far, I don't know, like that's so it was one of those things where it's like at first I was like, oh, this is so gross, but then I was like, well, I never use semi-auto weapons, and like when I'm in my hideout, I can click really fast with semi-auto weapons right now. And to be honest with you, I can probably still in the game right now click faster than I would be able to maintain aim unless somebody's like literally like, this close to me and I'm just spamming clicking as fast as I can. But I totally understand it as like I think the final answer is there exactly with what you said, where it's like the macro users still get to be the macro users, all 6 of them in the world that play Escape from Tarkov get to still be perfect. And the people who are above average have to slow down. And so I'm in a time where nobody was complaining about macros. So I feel like I'm just confused more than anything.
Yeah. And all it does is I was the guy that used semi-auto guns, and I always used it because they were fun, despite the fact that I felt as if they were like objectively worse.
Yeah.
Use. But the reason why I used them was because it required, like, it forced me to play a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Because now it's like I'm not just going to hold mouse 1 and try to kill someone with one of the 30 rounds in this AK. When I use a Vepr 136 with an L-can, I'm like pop, pop, pop. I'm using it like a DMR. The only downside is that if I happen to get in close quarters battle, I need to go because I'm panicking. I need to, like, whether it's from the hip or whatever. And now you can't do that. It's almost like your gun will jam on you unless you're using an AKM. So they're just making the marginalized guns that weren't used very often even less used. And Nikita's answer to that was basically like, well, we'll see. That's your opinion. We'll see. We have the usage statistics. We'll see, if it goes up or down. So basically, I kind of want to be like, I'm just gonna like boycott, like
semi-auto
guns. Like I don't know.
I mean, Jesus,
I don't think I'll convince him.
If they have the yeah, I don't know. If they have the numbers, then I feel like it's like, congratulations, Nikita, you played yourself. It's like, I can't remember the last time I killed a guy that had a semi-auto weapon that wasn't an SKS because he was level 3. You know what I mean? Like
a specific quest that required a fucking 8R or something, right?
So it's like, if you have the numbers, then I'm actually more confident because there's no way that there's like a huge surge of people using semi-auto guns with macros. Like I don't know, man. Not on the east coast of the United States, at least.
And the final thing is, people keep talking about like, oh well, all they need to do is like introduce a lightweight, aftermarket trigger, and it's like, well, then the macro users will just use that, and then it doesn't.
It's just,
so now it just makes it to be extra steps for everybody, all the normal people, to not get fucked over. And the macro users always have like 19 different softwares that they're loading up while they're playing Tarkov because they're probably cheating too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. But so here's the final thing I'll say on this is that, and I kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll ask Nikita next time I talk to him, like not via text. But he basically said, I was like, are macros, like, I don't think that they're a problem, like whatever. And he basically said straight up, yeah, they were a problem. Now, maybe
in like Russia or something.
I reject that just on the premise of, think about it. How could you, like, I want to walk him through, and maybe I'll walk you through this logically. How could you know if someone was using a macro?
Yeah, you could only know if they were shooting at like 30 or 40 CPS, right? Like an impossible number. Wouldn't that be the only way to know for certain?
But I mean, but that never happens.
Well,
like,
I mean,
when the flying guy teleports over and you with the M1 and goes and I die, like it was 15 clicks a second, which is like Ghost Freak could probably do that.
Yeah.
So the question is, if someone clicks at 14 or 15 clicks per second for a small given time, unless you detect the software running, which is a different thing altogether, well then if you know the software's running, well then do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how could you know?
Yeah.
So that my question is, How could you know? And his answer, there's two answers, and both of them are self-defeating. There's one is, well, we don't know. We just think. And it's like, so then you don't know it's a problem.
Yeah.
You think it's a problem, which you have to admit. Or they say, we do know. And then I have to say, okay, if you do know and you're confident, well, then if you can tell the difference, then fucking turn it off for them.
Yeah.
So it has to be that they don't know.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I see the logic. I'm following. If you
possibly know.
The only way you'd know beyond a shadow of a doubt is if you could, like, on the back end see the software, and in that case, only limit the people where you can see the software. You know what I mean? Like, or you can't see it, and therefore you wouldn't be able to know.
Yeah. Because, I mean, this is the same thing that anti-cheats come down to all the time. When people are like, all you need to do is say, like, if they have perfect, 0.05 fucking picoseconds in between every click, it's, inhumanly possible to whatever. Like, okay, well, there's two parts to that. One, million people playing, million people clicking all the time, at least one person is going to click accidentally, perfectly, rhythmically, whatever. I don't know, that maybe 10,000 rounds in a row, but maybe 5 or 10 bullets in a row, especially I'm a fucking, I can click. Yesterday I had a metronome and I was clicking and it was like, 7.2, 7.2, 7.2, 7.2 was like pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
But just by chance alone, someone's going to hit that threshold, and you can't just ban someone if they hit the threshold once.
No.
And also you would just program your macro to offset it by some amount that would confuse it, that would make it look natural.
Yeah.
So there's no answer. There's no way that they could know. I just fundamentally do not accept that they can know. So yeah.
And once again, it's like we're open. We can only have the perspective. Like I said, maybe it is an issue in, like, Russia. You know what I mean? And on Russian servers or whatever. Like, we couldn't possibly know that. You know what I mean? But yeah, my thing is just like, okay, previously, was there a cap at all that you were aware of, like on an M1A?
On some guns,
I know on some guns there were, yeah.
But on the M1, I mean, I've never used a macro. I've never gone in and messed around with any of the software. I know you can, like, with whatever. I've just never done it before. I've never been limited with, like, an M1. After the whole frame rate and FPS semi-auto debacle of 1994 or whatever the fuck it was, where you had like 10 frames per second, you're going to be like, bang, it was tied to your frame rate. But since then, no, like, I could shoot the Beretta as fast as I could. I could shoot the 5.7 as fast as I could click, the M1 as fast as I could click, the SKS I couldn't.
And some people said the 8R had a limit. Like, I don't get how you get. I don't understand how you don't get like 90% of the way through the issue with just limiting the clicks per second at like 18 or 19, and where you don't get banned or anything. But it's like, if you're clicking faster than 18 clicks per second, it'll like, what happens now is it just like skips a few clicks, because at best a human would accidentally for like 4 clicks click that fast, and you might miss one shot. But if you're missing one shot at 18 clicks per second, you're still killing the guy anyway. And it's the same answer where
for like the elite humans.
Exactly.
Let that be the maximum with a little bit of on top.
Yeah, because it's like, yes, the same argument is applied where it's like the macro users can set it there. But it's like, at least what we're doing is, at least in that scenario, we're not affecting any of the players not using macros, and the people using macros can't fire faster than humans. Because that's really what I'm worried about, right? Like, because like if your macro is at 7 clicks per second, but you suck, I'm probably still going to kill you. You know what I mean? If your macro is 42 clicks per second and you've got a 50 round mag, well, now I feel like I'm actually really at a disadvantage here. So it's like, if we just cap it at 15, 16, 17, we're not fixing the problem, but we're like getting, it's like the simplest and it's an unfixable problem is what you're saying, right? Is that like, you can't know, because if you know, you could fix it. And if you don't know, then any solution is going to fundamentally hurt way more people who aren't doing it than who are doing it. So this feels like the perfect middle ground. Set the cap at 18 and be done with it.
Yeah, so that wouldn't, and the reason why Nikita doesn't want to, he wouldn't accept that is because people, like, the people who were the problem were the ones shooting at only marginally faster than, you know, people like me and Ghost Freak and Willers or whoever.
Is that true? Is that something he was saying? Like, was nobody rocking macros at 30 clicks per second? They were only running them at 17 or 18?
I mean, I don't have any specifics on that. But he was like, well, how fast do you click? And I said, I literally did the test. I said 12.6.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, okay. Okay, well.
Bro,
like,
you should have screenshot that junk and sent it to him.
But I mean, even I didn't have to convince him because that wasn't my point.
He said,
it was,
yeah, okay.
Like, I can means that, and I'm not, it's not like I'm world record holder or whatever. Like the fact that I can means that there's a million people who are all faster than me.
Yeah.
But the average person click speed is irrelevant because it's not relevant to realism and it's also not relevant to the gameplay issues, right? Like, but that wouldn't solve it because the problem was that he didn't want people to be shooting semi-auto guns at the speed that full auto guns shot at. So like, even if you just capped it to whatever the fire rate of the gun is, he wouldn't want, for some reason, a Vepr 136 shooting as fast as an AKM would be a bad thing, I guess. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
But, now, for realism's sake, yeah, maybe. But again, I think you'd be running into trigger and recoil issues in real life before you'd be running into, outrunning the gun physically or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
there
was an element of realism. You know, one of the things he said was, and we also needed to basically nerf semi-auto guns.
Why?
Let me read exactly the quote. I don't want to misquote him. Not nerf semi-auto guns, but nerf semi-auto speed. I don't know. Let me see. And single fire rate needed to be toned down for, quote, fast clickers. And then I said, how fast did their macros shoot? And he said, with a full auto rate. So, like, what's an AK?
650. 650 rounds per minute is like an AK. So rounds per minute divided by 60. That's how many clicks per second, right?
Or between 9 and 11. 10.8, whatever. So, I mean, even that is...
And the fastest...
That's not even fucking fast.
And the fastest firing gun in the game is 1150. So what's 1150 divided by 60?
19.
You're telling me that it's better for the game to limit semi-auto and, like you said, marginalized guns to a lower place than just grabbing a 45 Vector and just annihilating somebody at full auto? Like, what?
I mean, yeah, I think that and he said, like, you know, the max, he said, we will up it to 9 shots per second max. And even that, it's like, my average is between 10 and 12. When I'm on like peak, I've gotten 13 before.
You're disgusting.
But
I'm such a boomer, dude. I can hardly maintain 7.
Yeah, but that's because you're doing it differently. You're literally moving your finger, right? When you click.
I mean, what are you moving?
My whole arm. Watch. Right now I'm doing a click test and I'll show you.
Mm. Is that what you do when you're shooting a semi-auto gun?
Yep. And I just got 12.8 clicks per second.
Yeah, I got closer to 9. Yeah, I mean, also I just suck, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I know that there are people that are better than me. Desmond said he did a 60-second test and got 10. That's disgusting. I can't get 10 in a 5-second test. Jesus. Anyways, I agree. Like, I just know that I'm in. Oh, look at you go. 11.
If I actually click, like use my finger to click as fast as I can in 10 seconds, 7.5.
Yeah.
But like if someone rolls up on me, I can literally, I won't even move the mouse. It's just going to be center of the screen, like.
Yeah.
a quick burst that's 4 or 5 bullets, and I'll either die or they'll die, and that's all I need but like, that just means that you have to kill somebody. If you're holding a hallway and they're going to jiggle peek, you have to kill them with like the first bullet.
Yeah.
Because by the time your second bullet comes out, it'll be like your 5th click. And
yeah, if you do the like jitter click, if you do a burst, it's gonna delete 2 of your clicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I will be affected by this. Absolutely 0%. I'm a boomer. I didn't even know about the arm clicking thing. I click as fast as I can, which is like 3.5 clicks per second, which is why I use full auto guns all the time. But I totally understand and agree with everything you're saying. And once again, as someone who never uses semi-auto guns, I'm confused because I'm just confused at like who was macroing, who even uses semi-auto guns. I don't find semi-auto guns. I died of vectors and I died of mutants and I died of HKs and I died of M4s more than I died of M1As or SKSs or 8Rs. And it's just like, I'm just confused. And for the people that, who like have trained that discipline and who are skilled at it, like, I feel like realistically, only a handful of percent of the population of the players will get affected by it, but it is just something that feels unnecessary. So I understand the frustration totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I do that, the clicks per second test for 1 second, which is actually far more realistic than 5.
Yes. Yep.
I'm averaging 14, 15 because it's literally just.
That's so true. That 1 second is way more average of a test.
So the problem is now that translates to 3 bullets.
Yes.
So
instead of 15.
Now they're completely impractical close quarters, which maybe that's what they want, but it's like, I just always question, like, why do you want to add shit to the game that's just objectively fucking bad? That's also like, maybe if the 8R was now 8,000 rubles, now you've convinced, okay, I'll be at a disadvantage because now I need to learn trigger discipline, but it's going to cost me a 2% of an M4. But not when the 8R is, even as expensive as it is, which isn't totally expensive, but still, it's like the only thing it's got going for it is that, in close quarters, I can fucking jitter click for a second or two and make up for it, So I don't know. Is what it is.
Yeah, dude, I don't get it. I'm with you. It feels weird. It feels like an issue to a problem that wasn't there, that doesn't fix anything, that just like came out of left field when nobody was expecting it and only hurt guns that nobody uses, or at least a lot less people use. So feels weird, man. That being said, there are some other things that happened in 12.11. They moved the AI to a new system. Like the verbiage of that was really interesting. The AI of all scavs, raiders, and bosses have been moved to a new technology platform that will allow us to expand and increase the complexity of AI-driven unit behavior. This also increases the number of scavs in a single raid in the future.
That sounds huge.
Yeah, that sounds big. And I have noticed scavs acting differently and doing things more, like opening doors more often. Like I'll shoot at them and they'll go for a door instead of just immediately shooting back at me to try and go away. Them being much more aggressive. I mean, at this point, it is just anecdotal evidence because, we have a change. So maybe my brain is subconsciously looking for a change and I would have noticed those things. However, and I put it in my video, the two biggest things in my opinion were the two things that they moved to new technologies or to new systems. The new AI thing obviously has much longer lasting implications on them being able to fine tune and tweak the AI independently, bosses, raiders, boss guards, scavs. And then in Nice Guy's video, he even mentioned, like we've known for forever, since the dawn of time, that the UN is going to be a faction and the Russian GRU is going to be a faction. And these are all, in theory, AI that act differently and have different goals in the raid. So this could be the foundations of that too, where if they've been building this system on this new technology for a long time, well, now maybe over the next year or two, the pieces start falling into place and they can do that kind of stuff. And then the other big thing was,
they worded it makes me think like they're using maybe a third part, like almost like Steam Audio for AI.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't think they rolled their known, but I don't know.
And like maybe they've been working with that for a while. You know what I mean? Like and or maybe it was like something new with Unity 2019 because they've been working on porting that build over for forever. So it could be any one of those things. And then the other thing that was huge, which is completely redesigned the quest system engine. This will decrease the number of errors in quest system and will facilitate the creation of a more diverse and engaging quest mechanics in the future. That is the same thing where it's like, oh shoot, like imagine a world where like everybody starts on the wipe and everybody's got different quests on different maps because they can generate it in a way that it's like, it's not going to be the most lore rich enhancing thing, but maybe, you know, therapist is mad at Peacekeeper and wants something, but she wants something different. You know, she might want 10 different things. And she asks for you 5 Saluas. For me, it's 3 syringes. For him, it's 7 IFACs. And now that, you know, going back to the predictability, now that could potentially completely change how like a wipe happens or quests happen or something like that.
Different things at different times on different maps. Yeah. And
then it's very obvious to at least think about how that could affect daily, weekly tasks. You know what I mean, as well. If it's this engine that can output like, okay, every day, you know, we get 2 quests. We get a fetch quest and a kill quest every day. Go get this item and bring it to me found in raid. Go kill this many of this enemy. And that can do that. It can handle weeklies. It can handle maybe just the generation of new quests. Maybe when they do events, they can generate quests around that event. You know, if the hydration event had worked, which we know on the back end that what Nikita wanted was labs and factory for you not to lose your hydration and nighttime for you not to lose your hydration, even though none of that worked. If it had worked, how cool would it be to have an only 72-hour available quest where it was like kill 10 scavs at night, kill 10 cultists? And it's like, oh, that would be really cool. You know what I mean? So that was a pretty encouraging one where it's like, we're not going to see that obviously today on day one, but that's a pretty exciting thing. Completely redesigned the quest system engine. Like that feels like a big deal. So, and then, yeah, other than that, just quality of life stuff, tiny little stuff that's exciting. Like if there's 2 different types of ammo in a magazine and you right click on that magazine and click unload, it unloads all the ammo, not just the top ammo. And then you have to right click and unload ammo again to get all the ammo out. It just unloads it all.
Yep. And also the top off would unload your fucking chamber.
Oh my God. Yes. If you have rubles in your sick case and you open a safe and you find rubles, if you just drag them into your sick case, it auto stacks the rubles now.
What?
I know. Crazy.
Wait, they must have. There's no way that they did anything with money and stacking and didn't fucking completely and utterly break 12 other things. I'm standing by that. There's no way nothing is broken.
I've been playing for the past 3 days, bro. I haven't found anything broken.
There's no fucking way, mate.
I love that reaction, though.
Oh my God. Oh, okay, wait a minute. I mean, it would be better if it auto stacked properly in your case. Like you can control click it and then put it in your pouch already. Like you're in the case inside your pouch. Because the money stacking has always been super annoying. Like the very specific way in which it's broken is really interesting, where it's like if you click and drag money into like a random spot in your bag and then control click the money, it goes to like the first slot.
Oh yeah.
And then stack properly, but not to the other one. It's like the auto stacking like works like in 3 out of like 19 different use cases. Such a specific weird.
I also have the question of, if I'm opening a safe, why isn't there 1 stack of 8,000 rubles? Why are there 8 stacks of 1,100, 900, 400, 500 rubles? Like, why isn't it just a bunch of rubles?
It's like when my wife used to work at a bank in college. She would have to have, you just count money and it always has to be like the same way.
Yeah.
Shit.
But yeah, so some quality of life stuff. Some performance stuff for some people, not for others. Some bug fixes. Some error fixes. And, some visual fixes. Shadow render distances increased to 500, regardless of shadow quality setting, to ensure the correct shadow on locations. So they messed around with shadows.
maybe that was like some of the performance
Oh,
issues.
maybe.
Because normally, like turning I remember when I did my graphics testing stuff, like the shadows didn't have a huge impact on my performance, even though I had like everything maxed out. Maybe now, I have high quality shadows on, and the shadows are much further, so maybe that's
That's
heard it, 'cause
true.
I'm
That's true, because as far as I understood it, the shadow quality thing, all that changed was the shadow draw distance. It didn't actually change the quality of the shadows, it just how far out.
I forget.
So if they separated that and now it's like it's going to be 500 no matter what, and now you're actually increasing the quality, that could have a more or less performance hit. That's an interesting, at least testable thing.
Yeah, I don't remember what conclusion I came to.
Yeah.
But
a lot of like memory stuff, a lot of optimizations around like RAM usage and stuff like that, which once again tells me that potentially lower end machines, if you're playing Tarkov and 8 or 12 or 16 gigs of RAM, you know what I mean? And like 4 different line items in these patch notes were optimized the memory, optimized memory usage. Maybe you got 10 or 15 more frames per second. You know what I mean? But I've got 32 gigs and I'm never even close to touching it. So that wouldn't affect me. So potentially.
Well, if it doesn't benefit me, I don't want it in the game, even if it benefits other people.
Yes.
Because I'm the Tarkov Reddit.
100%. 100%. That feels good. I like that. I mean, I think that's it as far as like Tarkov land. I suck at this game these past few days, man. It's so weird how it happens. Like, I was going through like a really rough patch, and then like all of last week, I was just like on a tear. I went from like 27 million rubles to 40 million rubles. And then the past 3 days, I've survived full raids. I'm killing people, I'm rotating, and I just can't. I've had a bunch of bugs come back too, by the way, even before the patch. You know how many times over the past week where I'll heal and my gun doesn't come back up? I just get no gun. Or I pick up a gun off somebody and I switch to it to check the ammo, and as soon as I pull out their gun, I can't do anything. I can't ADS, I can't check the mag, I can't fire, I can't do anything. And I'm like, where the hell have these bugs been, and why are they back? Why are they making me mad? It's been weird.
Yeah, well, just as long as the community doesn't gaslight you and say that none of the issues that you're experiencing that you should either be mad about, or that you're not experiencing them, even though you are, and you have video evidence of it reported for everybody in the world to see, because they're not experiencing it, so it couldn't be possible. And you're just, hey man, everybody's going through a rough patch.
Yeah, game's in beta, bro.
It's impossible that it's not you just sucking. There's no way.
Yep.
That it's not that. Yep. There could never be any
universe where it's not just me sucking.
Yeah, it just happened to have been exactly one fucking day after they buffed all the loot, and you got 3 lead X's, and then all of a sudden you couldn't win a raid after that because everybody seemed to have heightened senses.
Oh yeah.
You just on Sunday you were just a different person than you were.
Yeah.
In, on Saturday. It happens to everybody, dude.
It happens.
It's totally reasonable.
I guess we can talk a little bit about Rivals. Rivals is going on right now. EU Rivals today, NA Rivals tomorrow. By the time this comes out, they'll both be done. Man, it feels like they forgot this time around. Like nobody knew about it until like 2 days ago.
I got asked to lead a team last night at 1:04 a.m.
So this
is what confused me, because I sent you that message. They, like, you want to be a captain for the Tarkov event on the 14th. Now I looked at the date and it was the 13th, but it was after midnight.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, dog, tomorrow. Tomorrow, like we've, whatever.
That's so funny.
And I was like, no, wait a minute, not tomorrow. You remember those messages last night? But yeah, I honestly just don't think. I don't know, man. I'll just let another streamer, hopefully smaller, newer partner or whatever.
Yeah.
Lead a team. I don't think I would enjoy it, and which wouldn't be great for like anybody involved, and I don't want to take a slot up if somebody else
Yeah.
could do with the money and or the experience. And then also in the same token, like literally the only reason why I'm apprehensive is it's the FOMO, right? It's fear of missing out. It's if I don't do this Rivals event, am I going to be irrelevant? And it's like, you know what? If that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to fucking be. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not just going to be miserable because I'm afraid that people are going to forget I exist. Because I mean, all I've been doing is playing Power Watching Simulator and fucking Magic the Gathering Arena.
Yeah.
And I'm already way down on the list of viewer count. And I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But I think that's the thing. I think that's like part of the frustration too, is like every single Rivals event, so everybody gets captains are picked, and then those captains get to pick 2 other people. And there have been people that have played consistently and have played really well, have done really well in the tournament, that are really good at Tarkov. And what it always feels like it happens is, like, especially this time, it was like 36 hours before the event, they just invited everybody that was a captain before. You know what I mean? It's like, there's just like it just feels like this whole thing is like a weird thing where like people like Queen FPS won the last Rivals tournament. And yesterday she was like, I guess good luck to everybody that's playing. And then I think she got invited last night too, but it was just like, nobody knew about the event. And then they're not really marketing it. And then because it's so last minute, they don't give anybody the opportunity to participate that hasn't participated before. They just invite the same people. And it's like, it feels weird.
How do they go about, they can't ask.
They can't ask everybody.
So it shouldn't be up to somebody determining who to ask, because you're just leaving it up to someone to figure out, like, what do they just go and sort by viewer count in Tarkov, or they have some list of like I don't know. I don't know what determines they should add. If it were up to me, I would say that, they what they should do is look at the, whatever the criteria is, they should have set rules, and it should be fucking automated, and it should be fair.
Yeah.
It should be like they take the top 300 streamers who are you have to be partnered, right? Usually for Rivals.
I think so.
Partnered streamers in the category that stream Escape from Tarkov, like if Summit played 15 minutes of Tarkov one day and then, went back to, whatever, like, he shouldn't count, right? Like, it should be someone who plays some percentage of the time. And over the last month, I probably wouldn't count either. Like, whatever the threshold is, I don't care. But then just take the 300 and randomly select.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever the number is.
They put out like it wasn't like an application, but they put out something where it was like, it was an interest form. If you were interested in becoming a captain or participating, you could fill out this form. Like, why don't they do that? Why don't it, like, they put out that form, maybe a week in advance, not a day in advance. They put out that form and they filter through it, and it's automated. Exactly. If you're partner and if you've streamed more than 5 hours of Tarkov this month, like, whatever those numbers are, it doesn't have to be viewer count. It doesn't have to be anything. Because the thing is once again, if you pick 100 captains, that means there's 200 more people. Those captains, maybe it is John who streams to 20, or 79 people. He just got partner. He gets picked. He's going to pick people. You know what I mean? And so, like, it just feels, it feels human. It just feels like a guy, and I don't know that it is, but it just feels like a guy who invites the same people because it's stressful to figure out any other way to do it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And it feels shitty for me to complain because I'm one of the guys that they always default to asking. So it's like, it's not that I'm not like grateful, like, I obviously appreciate it. And like, don't stop asking me, because maybe the next time I'll actually want to fucking play. But this time around, I just have to bite my lip and say, nah, you know what? I just don't think I'm into it.
Yeah. I get it.
Whatever.
I get it. But yeah. But like, it's fun. Every time I've played, it's been fun and it's cool. And I think it's like a fun thing. And I'm definitely not one of those guys where it's like, oh my God, Tarkov's not an esport. Why do they lean into it? It's like humans have been trying to come together and have fun and compete with one another for all of time. It's like, I'm about it, man. It's cool. It's fun. It gives some money to some streamers. It raises awareness for the game. You go get your slick and your moonshine from the drops. Like, whatever, it's fun. I just think, like, it's 36 hours notice is kind of nutty.
I didn't even get 36 hours. I got fucking less than 24.
Yeah.
To agree to sign up to something and
find two people.
Who haven't already been on a team before, So it was like obviously you were the first person I thought of, and you're moving and stuff, which is why we did this on a different day and everything. So it's like, I just don't feel like going and knocking on a million doors. The problem is that there's so many cool ass people that I would love to play with, that I'm just, as soon as I started thinking about that too, I got overwhelmed with like, who am I asking? Who am I leaving out? Who am I not gonna? Yeah, fuck it, I'm just not gonna do it. Like, it would have been easy. It was just like me, you, and Geeks or something again. Like, awesome. But as soon as it becomes more complicated than that, it's like, nobody got time for that.
I totally get it. Because you probably don't have enough time, because you might start asking people, and some people were asked by other people, and now they're like, oh, well, I haven't committed to them. And it's like, no, it's fine. Like, I just need two people in 30 minutes so I can sign this contract. And it's just, totally. It's just too stressful. It's like,
and I'm streaming and they're streaming, and
Yeah. It's just, no, I totally get it. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, you've been having fun playing Magic and Power Washing Simulator, just purging yourself of Tarkov and all of its stresses.
Yeah, Power Washing Sim got an update. We got 4 new maps, which was nice. Which is so funny saying 4 new maps. Like, it's a fucking big private jet and a big boat, and I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun,
For sure.
It's just fun and zen, and it's amazing. So many people have been coming in and be like, you keep talking about it on the podcast, and I need to come in and see it, and then like literally, it's been pretty much unanimous. Whenever someone comes in and is like, I didn't fucking believe you, but I can't stop watching.
Yeah, I can't stop.
The funniest comment I get is like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I cannot take my eyes off the screen. And I'm like, and I'm like reading chat, and I'm like, just fucking zoned out. And everybody's like, why is this so satisfying? And we're all just like sitting there, with the fucking IV of meth.
Yeah, basically that is Power Washing Sim.
And then I got into, so I played Magic years ago. It was like 4 years ago is when I had played Hearthstone, which is the only like collectible card game I'd ever played. And I was at a startup company, and one of the things that a bunch of the people that I was working with at the startup company were into was Magic. So what we used to do is on Fridays at work, we would go buy one of those big booster boxes, with like a million packs.
Yeah.
And we would do like a sealed draft. So basically, like, you'd go through and you have to pick your cards one by one in order, and you end up with like a random deck, but there's like deck building, and I was really, really bad at it. But that's how I learned how to play Magic, was during, if anybody plays Magic, and Shadows over Innistrad was like halfway through its like thing. And then I played for like a year. I got super into it. I mean, I have like a big fucking box full of binders and cards, and I dropped a bunch of money, and I fucking loved it. I almost went to like some regional like GP things. I almost did it, but yeah, I just ended up falling out of interest. That was way before I even streamed or anything like that. But then I just was messing with Magic, the Gathering Arena, which is one of those free to play.
Yeah.
But you can just buy cards, like it's just like Magic in real life,
digital.
basically, but everything's just digital. And I'm like 5 years behind in literally like the meta. Like I don't know if it's every 6 months or whatever, they come up with like a new set with like 8 million new mechanics and new whatever, and it was like, I just was like, oh, you know what, fuck it, I'll just get into it. And I dropped I think I dropped like $100, and I'm just like, this is fun. I'll go get a bunch of things, open them up, see what I can do. And I streamed for 12 hours yesterday, and I lost like twice, and I'm on ranked.
Damn.
So I'm like, there's like, and I made it wasn't even like, what I used to do is go online and watch like the pros and figure out like what are the meta decks and all of this stuff, and basically just copy whatever this was like. I went through with my experience from 5 years ago, built a deck, and it's like, I got to fucking bronze, then gold, and now I'm platinum, and I'm about to fucking get up to, I'm like platinum 1, and I'm about to get up into like whatever's after, no, sorry, not, after platinum there's diamond, and then after that it's like fucking mythic or whatever. It's like, I'm super surprised at how well it's doing, and now I'm like totally fucking addicted, because it's the ultimate fucking brain game. Like, I've never felt, I just feel it's so big brained like 15 times every hour, whereas in Tarkov I get that feeling once a month.
Yeah, no, I get it. Any sort of like intellectual kind of thing where you can just plan it out, execute something, have it go well. That's dope. I've never played, but it seems like something I would be into. Like, it really does.
Don't you love in Tarkov when you're like, I'm gonna like fake to do a thing.
Oh, 100%.
They're gonna peak, and when that happens, you're like, yes, this is a completely unambiguous. You're like, you can literally go and do something that looks like a mistake, and then have your guy say like, oops, and then they'll be like, haha, whatever, and you're like, I expected that, bitch, and then you like turn it and flip it on them, and it's like, it's so satisfying.
That's sick.
I know what kind of deck they have. I know what cards they could possibly have. Kind of what are the statistical chances of they have one card in their hand, they don't have any mana left, so they can't play any of their cards. So I know that I can do this thing and I won't be punished. Whereas sometimes you're like, there's like a 50-50 chance that if I do this thing, I lose. But if I don't, and you kind of have to look at how many cards they have and do a little, it's almost like blackjack, counting cards a little. But God, it's just so satisfying.
That's
the more
sick.
I play, the more ideas I get. And yeah, you can be so fucking creative, dude.
That's super sick. That's
so
dope.
honestly, I think I'm probably going to play that for the rest of the day today.
I love it. Dude, we got to get you back. We got to get you back on Star Citizen soon. I know you played that a little bit. There's a huge update coming this month, bro.
Oh.
So to everybody else, I would describe it this way, and they would love it. You're gonna hate me describing it this way, but it's the best way. But just give me a second. It's turning into space Tarkov. Like everybody else goes, ooh, but you're like, I don't want more Tarkov in my life. But what they're doing is
that is not terrible. I mean, as long as it's anybody, no, I don't want to say anybody at BSG making it, but because that's not fair. But
no, yeah, but like, so it, like the vision has always been like the grand space stuff like Eve, but also as AAA as possible of like first person stuff. But there's just not a lot to do right now. Like you played it because you were like messing around with it a bunch. Where like you get in your ship, like the only first person thing is like you wake up and then you go get your ship and then you start playing the game because you're flying around and doing the stuff.
I didn't play the game. I made faces.
Yeah, you did that and made music with the VoIP. Well, what they're adding, so like in this new big update is a complete, because up until now in the game, everything you had access to in the universe, you could access at any time. Like if you had armor, you just put the armor on. If you had a gun, you'd put the gun on. If you had a ship, you would just call it. Well, now they're adding an inventory system. So like you only have what's on you, and when you die, you lose it all. But you can go back and get it. It remains where it is for 2 hours before it despawns. Yes.
So it's like my open world Tarkov.
So now, but in space with all of the like good space, like shipcraft and ship dogfighting, which is like S tier, it's the best in the industry right now. Well, now they're adding like 5 more different ground style missions, a bunch more AI improvements, a whole bunch of stuff. So now it's like, and there's a medical system. There's literally like, think of the Tarkov medical system, like in Star Citizen, in this update, you'll be able to break your leg. That will do something different than breaking your arm. That will do something different than doing this. They're adding
all of it VoIP.
With VoIP and with VoIP, they're adding blood toxication stuff. So if you take too many stims, you get like, it's not drunk, but like your vision gets blurry, and like hospitals have different tiers. So you need, like depending on how severe your injury, you need a certain tier hospital. If you get knocked unconscious, your friend can take you to a hospital. Your friend can literally, the original dad. Your friends can take you to hospitals and then just like leave you there and you'll be there. If you don't have any ships or if you don't have any gear, you have to like go to the place where your gear is. Like so it's the same thing. You buy armor. Oh no, I'm gone.
Whoa, shit. What? My bad. What the fuck happened there?
You're fine. So it's this, they're completely just like, basically Star Citizen is just completely and fundamentally changing to make it like finally the both and thing. And like, it's all of that stuff you talked about where like you can get into a fight with other players, you can die, you can spawn back in and get to your body. While if you're like, this is a feature of the game. If you're being chased down and fighting, you can send up what's called a service beacon. And you can say, I'll pay anybody that arrives and helps me out 5,000 credits. You set the price, and if you set it right, random players or your friends or whatever can like quantum to that location and help you out. It's like all the stuff we talked about earlier that you'd want in Tarkov in space, but like Tarkov with the health system and the losing your loot and the stuff.
Do you lose your loot as in like it'll despawn, or can other people get
take
it?
They get to loot it. They get to take it. It's all in like its first phase. So like when you die, like basically like a box forms where you were, and you can loot the box that has all the stuff. It's like the first pass of all this stuff. But no, everything is lootable. You can loot stuff. And this is all working towards the ability to like incapacitate somebody's ship and then steal their ship and then take their ship back and salvage their ship and like sell it. You know what I mean? And all sorts of stuff like that. So that's coming.
I might just have to get in and not play the game as normal and just God Almighty. If you're listening to this on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, come to my Twitch channel if I'm live or whatever, and just do exclamation point TOD, Todd, which stands for the original dad.
It's so
and that the first video I made about Star Citizen, I played for like 10 hours and I never touched it after that, but it was 10 hours of, and for people that don't know, VoIP is like VoIP as in voice over IP, but it's face over IP. Yep. So I'd have a camera that would be on my face and it would like mimic my facial expression. And so I had this guy with just like this fucking berries and cream fucking head haircut, and I would just walk up to people and I would literally walk up to people and like almost like selfie style, just like stand in front of them with a stupid look, and I would make ugly exactly. And it's some of the best content I've ever made in my life. I'm pretty sure it's like 98% downvotes, and I probably have like 11 views on YouTube, but it was the most amazing experience ever.
Yeah, it's super fun. So that is, I am like really excited for that update, because like I have been waiting for there to be at least some sort of big push in Star Citizen as my like chill game that you can just vibe with and have fun with that's outside of Tarkov, you know what I mean? And so I am very excited for that.
I'll have to check that out with you.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think we got some Tarkov news. We got some shenanigans. Everybody go check out some rival streamers today and tomorrow. Get some drops. Enjoy that. We got so, you know, people keep asking. We got 12.11.5. According to the original master plan, 12.11.6 should be next, and that should be Unity 2019, basically exclusively. That's all that patch would be, with some minor bug fixes. And then 12.12, and then 12.12.5. So, I mean, we have no information on any of those patches, but that's probably still the order. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for hanging on the Wednesday edition of the podcast. It should be live normal time. So I got this footage early, and then I should be back up and running on my whole situation Sunday, Monday. So this still should be live on the podcasting platforms and on YouTube on Monday, and then we'll get right back into the rhythm. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll definitely see y'all on the next one.
Peace.